Welcome into the live desk. I am Janae Hancock. I want you all to take a look at this video right here on your screen. You may remember this moment. The SpaceX Dragon carrying 4 astronauts splashed down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida back in March. A huge moment for Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams, who spent 286 days in space. But it was also an unforgettable moment for Nick Hague, who is a Kansas native who returned to Earth following a 6-month mission. He traveled to space to help bring the 2 astronauts back to their loved ones, and we are actually joined by Nick Hague now. You are officially back home. You've been home for some time following that space mission that happened not too long ago, but how does it feel to be back with your loved ones?
It's great to be back home to get to see friends and family and spend time with them. Being away is difficult. But I got to tell you, the first few weeks that you're back are pretty strenuous, trying to readapt to gravity and all of that fun. It takes a little bit of time. It took me the better part of 6 weeks before I started to feel normal again.
And I do want to dive into that recovery process and all that it took to get you back to who you are today. But I also want to talk about the overall experience. I mean, what was it like being in space for 6 months? Really kind of take us into that experience if you can.
Yeah, you see the view behind me. This is just a still picture, but to be able to float over to a window every day and see the Earth like this is just, it changes the way that you view life. And then to be able to just float. I never used the bottoms of my feet for 6 months, just floating around the space station and experiencing that microgravity. That's the reason we're there on the International Space Station, is to take advantage of that microgravity. And it's an amazing experience to be able to wake up that morning and work 12 hours and do a bunch of different science experiments, that all of which have the potential to lead to big discoveries that improve life on the ground, as well as help us figure out how to go further into space.
Nick, I have so many questions, and we really don't have the time for it today. But I think my biggest question is, how did you all stay healthy? I mean, you talk about doing all of these experiments while you're in space and keeping yourselves busy, but how did you stay healthy through it all?
Well, we have to counteract the negative effect of microgravity. So if I do nothing, I really don't have to use my muscles or my skeleton throughout the entire day. So to counteract that, to counteract the atrophy that would naturally happen, we have to work out 2.5 hours a day every day. Half of that is lifting weights on a resistive machine that simulates just like you'd go to the gym and lift free weights. And then the other half is cardiovascular, and so we're either on a treadmill or a stationary bike. So I'm keeping my heart, my lungs healthy. I'm also keeping my bones and my muscles strong. So those 2.5 hours a day effectively allow me to land stronger than when I launched, which is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, I was going to say I can only imagine that that kind of helped your recovery process, which I want to go into now. You talk about how it took time to get you back to who you are today, but tell us a little bit more about exactly what you had to do as soon as you touched back down on Earth.
One of the unique ways that our body adapts to microgravity is in how we perceive direction. How do we perceive down? Right now, I'm using my eyes to determine which way is up and down, because I can see where the ceiling's at and where the floor is at. But I also have my inner ear, and so it's sensing gravity pulling down. When I get into orbit, those give conflicting messages to my mind, and eventually my mind really stops listening to my inner ear, and it just uses visual cues. So when I get back down on the Earth, I've adapted to space, and I'm still adapted to space. And so when my eyes are open, I have pretty decent balance. But as soon as I close my eyes, I have almost no sense of balance. And so it takes several days for that balance to fully recover. And so the beginning part of our readaptation, when we work with our strength and conditioning and rehabilitation team, they're really focused on helping us reinforce balance and mobility and flexibility. I said that we're stronger when we land than when we took off, but a lot of the little muscles and in our joints haven't had to stabilize. They haven't had to balance. They haven't had to stand and just support your weight. And so those little muscles have to get back in shape. And so we spend, a couple hours a day, every day for about 6 weeks after we land, getting all of those joints healthy again, all of that mobility healthy again, getting my balance back correct. And then, after a while, it feels like somebody flipped a switch and it feels normal again.
All so very fascinating. Just a few more questions for you, Nick. I know a military official said that you took several significant items to space. Can you explain what they were and why?
Yeah, I have the opportunity to take a few things with me to space. Some of the things that I took a Space Force little cluster of Space Force flags. I also took some sheet music that is the Space Force song. I'm a Guardian. I'm a colonel in the United States Space Force, and so it's a privilege for me to be able to represent Guardians around the globe as I participate in the astronaut corps. It's a long history we have of active duty military being part of the human spaceflight program at NASA and working for NASA. And I'm privileged and honored to be able to continue that tradition.
And you are the first active duty Guardian to fly into space, so making history there, which is pretty awesome. What advice do you have for future astronauts, those boys and girls that are looking up to you here in Kansas and are just wishing, hoping that that could be them one day? What would you tell them in this moment?
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, I would look up at the night sky, and Kansas has amazing night skies, being able to see all the stars. And I would dream and would had this yearning to go explore. But at the same time, I felt like I was so far removed from everything else that was going on in the world. And I guess my advice is that perspective that I had then couldn't be further from the truth. Your dreams and the ability to go out there and chase those dreams is not as far away as you think. And so your friends and your family are the support network that's going to help you lift off and start to chase those. So just don't think that it's too far away, because it's not. The Earth is really small.
Nick, I love that. And I know our future astronauts will love that as well. Before I let you go, what is next for you? I know you're still probably in that recovery process after that 6 month mission, but what else can we expect from you in the coming months?
Yeah, in the coming months, it's exciting because now's the time where I'm back to normal and I'm able to get out on the road and share my experiences. And so one of the things that I'm looking forward to is getting back to Kansas and engaging with the community and making some visits and sharing my experiences in more depth with school kids and adults and friends and family. It's going to be great to get back to home state.